morning. Today is December 13th, 2021. It's about 7:56 in the morning. Welcome to part two of the Karmic Margin Call Project Annual Year-End Report 2021. So I went way over time yesterday. It took about 15 minutes. So I'm going to take a little less time to do today's portion. But today is about going over the goals from last year, what our end numbers were for this year, and also looking ahead at next year, what we're looking to project. So this is also part two of a presentation about generating a quadrillion dollar GDP through time banking. And one thing I would like to emphasize with that is that it already exists. It's not a matter of proving anything. It's not a matter of debating anything. It's just a matter of revealing and having those conversations, having those deeper conversations. So I am going to go back to into the second part of our report today. So the goals from this year, this was highlighted in the 5-year plan. It was a presentation that I had given around this time last year. But the focus of this year was establishing what I call fellowship culture, meaning that we understand, or I understand, that a lot of this material is over most people's heads. It's understandable. A lot of people take one look at it and they like to pretend it doesn't exist. So the goal this past year was just establishing fellowship culture and how to create both safe and brave spaces in starting to talk about this material, starting to talk about what it's really going to take to, to be able to get the world out of debt and to acknowledge each other's contributions. And what in the mission statement, I state that the Karmic Margin Call Project is intended to save lives too, by saving people, getting them out of poverty, so that starvation, and hunger does not have to be an option anymore. So our goal last year was to attract 36 time bank members, and we wanted to log 640 service hours. So that was our goal. So this is what really happened. Before I go into what really happened, the people who contributed to this as our core fellowship, and I wanted to take a moment and acknowledge them. Our core fellowship members, they're kind of like our unofficial board, if you will. Trey Ashley Guerin, who participated in core fellowship from January to June of this year. Parmjit Nahil, Jamie Parker, Nefertiti Rosa, and Marta Reese. So you will be hearing a lot more about them as I continue my presentation. From our core fellowship, 6 other fellowships emerged. So that was a very exciting report for this year as well. And now as we go into our year end, what we generated was actually 22 time bank members who are listed. Many of them are very inactive. Many of them are still within that appreciation conversation phase where we're still exploring possibilities. I'm hoping this presentation will help to gather some of them back and and continue the conversation that we started in 2021. But what is also kind of under the peripheral here is that there were 26 supporters. What I mean by a supporter is that there are people who participated in our conversations. We just did not talk explicitly about time banking or explicitly about the Karmic Margin Call Project's mission. So that's a conversation that we might have with those supporters. So potentially, we'll see. We'll continue to look at these relationships, but could have been about 48 members this year. So we're going to see how those play out. But here is the big reveal. And I have to credit WINfinity and Trey Ashley Guerin for a lot of this. I have to credit the core fellowship for a lot of this as well. We generated, this was as of 2 weeks ago, 2,670 hours. However, Trey did a lot of backlogging from conversations and from work she's done with WINfinity. I'll talk a little more about WINfinity later in the presentation. We're actually now up to over 3,000 hours. So this report is actually a little bit inaccurate because with the backlogging of a lot of those service hours that were performed earlier in the year, we actually are over 3,000. So that's something to celebrate, and it kind of merits us tooting our horns just a little bit. Um, but that's impressive. That in my mind validates the goals, and that we can make it to where we want to be in 2022, which is about implementing more of the time banking aspects now. Now that we have these relationships, I'm going to be doing a lot of assisting people in registering into our time bank, logging hours, how to log hours, and how to start to collect the data from all of these conversations. And the data is going to be very important when trying to have conversations with businesses, with government, with some of these other entities who want to see tangible data, tangible results. So that's where my focus is going to go in 2022 as we continue to procure this fellowship culture. So that being said, the goal is to enlist 2,000 time bank members, and that sounds like it might be a high bar, but it actually is not. We have this philosophy that I call 2x2, where as long as each time bank member is going deeper in their relationships, everybody, all they have to do is just deepen that relationship with two people. Spend the time, invest the time with two people, and empower them to do the same. And I believe the more that message gets communicated, the faster it is for us to duplicate, and reach that 2,000. I think we can do that, and hopefully this presentation will help others to be able to do the same. And with that, with an average of 20 hours for each new time bank member, that's 40,000 hours by the end of the year. That might even be conservative, because just between 5 or 6 of us, we were able to generate 3,000 hours. So, it really comes down to the individual about how much time they can spare from their corporate job or their everyday job, to dedicate towards something that, is nourishing for them, which is a fellowship relationship. So, so it's really just a matter of starting the conversation and logging the conversation using the ourworld.org site, to log these conversations, maybe even having conversations with other time banks through ourworld.org or timebanks.org. And, that's very possible. And then going into 2023, if we make our 2022 goals, then our goal will be to generate 1 million members and 21 million hours. So again, the secret to it all is really just participate and facilitate. And we do that through the integrity pattern, those 6 conversations that I talked about in the first part: appreciation, possibility, invitation, dissension, healthy dissension, responsibility, and commitment. So we'll be going deeper into that here in the next half hour of the presentation. And then at the end, I'm going to really crunch the numbers and talk about how a $1 quadrillion GDP really does become possible when we take better accounting of our time. And with that, I'm Michael Schuman, and I'll see you tomorrow. And we'll go on to the third part of our year-end review.